It's Mars, lover of all things iconic, and welcome to another episode of the Creative, where we kick the shit about all things creative, getting into the process of how you, me, and we bring our imaginations to life. Today, we have a very special guest from the UK, one of my UK girlies. We met on TikTok, I believe, but we're like acquainted on all social apps now. I would consider us friends, online friends until we meet in person.
Well, what's
Um,
best friends? That counts for something.
it does. It does. Because it's gonna manifest in real life. I just know it is. She's a beauty curator. She's a host of the Beauty Me podcast, which you should listen to and subscribe to if you're not already. And she's an awesome beauty content creator who also used to be a fashion journalist. Welcome to the show, Cherise.
Hi.
Hi. How's it going, Cherise? How's it over in Birmingham, UK?
It's cold. It's a bit rainy.
Oh
My dog is being
no.
a little pain in the butt. But apart from that, it's Thursday afternoon, which means it's almost the weekend. Because
Yes, we made
Friday,
it.
yes. And I hear the weather has been pretty bad for you over there.
Yes, the weather in New York is really shitty right now. It's been raining for like the past 2 to 3 days, and in New York, their drainage system is horrible. So when it rains, you're gonna ruin your shoes. You're gonna just be soaked. It's just a mess. And then it's like windy too. So it's like if you don't have like one of those $100 umbrellas, like you're not gonna make it.
Yeah, forget.
So yeah, it's a whole lot going on.
it.
But yeah, so today I brought Charisse on because we're going to talk about John Galliano's new documentary, High and Low. But before we get into that, let's get into our favorite segment of the week, and that is Dream Geek. And this is a segment of the show where we get into how we use our imaginations to manifest our dream gigs in the creative industry. And it could literally be anything. If you want to build a statue, if you want to build a house, if you want to launch a new fragrance. Like it can literally be anything. So, Charisse, you dabble in beauty. You're a beauty curator, so you also do photography. You do creative direction. You do so many things. But if you had one dream gig that you could manifest, what would it be?
I will be the new Joan Rivers of the red carpet.
Oh wow. Okay. That's so unexpected. But I can see that. I can see
I
that
can see
because
it too.
you're very blunt and honest.
But I not the way that she was like attack, attack, attack. But
Hmm.
I feel there's been a hole since she left us, and it's kind of been on my mind since I think it was the Golden Globes. Somebody did some really bad red carpet coverage. I think it
Hmm.
was Vanity Fair. Oh no, Variety, which is
Yeah.
like the Hollywood magazine. They sent
Hmm.
them to do the red carpet. They clearly didn't know who half the people were. They definitely didn't know what they were wearing, and they just had no appreciation. It was like they were just there
Yeah.
for a job. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel it because I care about people. I'm nosy. So
Hmm.
I'll ask the questions and I might even know what some of them are wearing. I'm just very nosy and I'm just like, I think we could do with more of that. And one thing I'm waiting for people to catch up on is it's only ever magazines that like the next day they'll do the beauty looks from the red carpet.
Hmm.
I think we need to spend more time talking about it while the people are there because let's be real, who can afford the Scaparelli dress? But they might want to recreate the makeup look. So
Right.
I
And
feel
that's how
bad.
it used to be.
Yeah, but I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed, so much of the Oscars coverage when I was putting together my videos, the makeup artists and hairdressers, every time you go to their stories now, it's like in partnership with. So they've already secured deals
Hmm.
probably months ahead of the Oscars
Hmm.
by telling brands, well, I'm doing so and so's makeup. So they're probably getting paid and product.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
I'm like, well, if you want to make more of that money you're investing, why not like talk about it a little bit more on the red carpet? Because I think hair
Yeah,
and makeup brings things together.
I agree. And I agree that because when I'm researching my red carpet videos, it takes me forever because it's not like it used to be like celebrities used to know who they're wearing. Sometimes they don't even know who they're wearing. So I have to go to Instagram. I have to go find the stylist page. I have to go find the makeup artist page. Like I have to go find all these people. And it just takes me so long when like back in the day, like that was the first thing they asked. So what are you wearing? And then they got into everything else. But it's just like it's like a lost art. And I feel the same that it's missing. Like I consider myself like in the middle of Joan Rivers and Angelina Talley because I am honest, but I don't want to be honest to where I want constructive criticism. And I felt
Yeah,
like
yeah,
sometimes Joan was just cracking to like get the joke off,
yeah.
which
I
I
would
guess
not
that
be
was
like that.
necessary, but I also think like, yes, you look horrible, but this is how you can look better.
Yeah,
So,
see, my thing is, and I'm wondering if I should change it because my thing has always been like I get sent products all the time, right? All the time. And I'm appreciative of that, okay? But I've always said, because when I was a journalist working for a title, it would be very rare that you would just bash something. So, like
mhm,
you said, you either have to be constructive or you just leave it and you
yeah,
let them know, "You guys, just to let you know, I'm not going to be writing about that." So
mhm,
if someone sends me a product now because they think I might put it on one of my shorter episodes, which is like a review of one thing,
mhm,
they send me that and they're like, "Hey, just wondering if you're going to review it." I'll be like, "It's really not for me." Because at least then I'm letting them know, I'm doing them a courtesy, but I've never gone on my show, I've never said, "Guys, this was shit."
mhm,
Because, and I think I'd be the same, I'd be even more that way with a person. I'm not trying to make anyone feel small, not that celebrities, I mean, many of them don't feel small, I'm sure, but
mhm,
everybody is a human being, and I would
yeah,
never want to make someone feel like crap. I will appreciate the beauty and I will ask questions if it's
yeah,
something that's not for me, you
yeah.
know.
And I feel like in the fashion and beauty industry, like what also is missing is that no one wants to be criticized anymore in general. And I just think that really like it takes away from the art because that's how you kind of get better. Like we were just talking before the pod before we started recording, like Charisse was like, you need to know your audience. And I feel like without criticism, there's no way to know your audience and to grow. But people want to
It's how
just
you
kiss
deliver.
ass. Yeah. Yeah.
How you deliver, because you'll have experienced it. People feel very happy to tell you negative stuff on TikTok specifically.
Mm-hmm.
They're very quick to tell you. They're not thinking, let me phrase this nicely. They're like, bam, bam, bam.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm there, well, like, hang on, come back, come back. You put yourself on my page. Let's discuss that. Let's discuss that like human beings. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things I won't stand for. Like I won't let anyone come for anyone's body or looks on my page.
Mm-hmm.
I'll delete them. Like I did a video on Natasha Lyonne from the Golden Globe, so a few months ago now. And this woman came straight in saying, "Yeah, she looks nice, but Ozempic face is awful and she looks awful." And I
Oh,
just
not Ozempic face.
yeah. I just said this is not a body shaming page. It's not.
Right. Oh.
And that was that one person out of literally hundreds of thousands, by the way. And I'm just like, it says more about you if you're just going to be mean about people.
Yeah. True. True.
So
Okay. So
Joan
sure.
Rivers may have been a little bit bitter because,
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing too. Like, she was very like blunt and criticized everybody, but she was also in the plastic surgeon chair like every week. So she wasn't as confident as she appeared to be.
exactly,
Um,
and that's okay. But that's what people do. Hurt people, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, so Charisse is Joan Rivers. I see it. I'm here for it. My dream gig this week is I would love to create like a capsule collection with Ottolinger. I love Ottolinger as a brand. I'm obsessed. I love what they represent. I love how sustainable they are. I just love their whole aesthetic in general. And I love when brands kind of tap in with their audience and create like little capsules of collections. So I would love to create a capsule collection with Ottolinger. I just think it would be so fab. I think it would do really well. Because I think I'm kind of known as the person who supports Ottolinger a lot now online. So I think it would go really well. So I don't know, Krista and Cosima, if you're listening, like let's get this work because I would love to do a drink collab with them. And before a collab, I would love to come to their show in general, which is why I'm trying to get back to Europe so bad because y'all Fashion Week is just 10 times ahead of the ones here. And you can kind of hop around because to get from London to Paris is nothing. To get from London to Milan, it's nothing. So it's just kind of like it's just more sustainable. It's easier to get around. So I logged this in my Snapchat last night. And I was looking at all my old Snapchats, and I have my whole journey of when I came to Europe for the first time. came to see the Formation tour in Paris. And I went to Paris, I went to London, and I went to Amsterdam. And I did all by myself. I learned the train systems. I just learned everything. And I just miss it so much.
Well, next
Yeah.
time it's for Fashion Week.
Yes.
And by the
Send me
way,
the
I'm
picture.
jealous because you get to take part in the dream gig thing every episode. So you get to come up with all these different dream gigs.
Well, I'll have you back. So get your other one ready. I'll have you back. As I said in the beginning of the show, we're here to talk about John Galliano's new documentary, High and Low. I went to see it, I think, 2 weeks ago. Charisse, when did you go see it?
Oh, easily a month ago now. So I think it's coming out here in about a week, but I got early access.
Oh, cute.
Really cool.
VIP.
Kind
Yes.
of cool. It's kind of cool. It's kind of, I won't lie. It's because I love films anyway. I'm kind of
Mm-hmm.
geeking out because my career right now is definitely taking me more down film paths as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like, I'm going to a special event for the Amy Winehouse film next week.
Oh, I
But
can't wait to hear your review on that.
yeah, I'm scared about that film.
Me
I can't
too.
lie.
What I've seen, I'm like, oh no. Oh no.
Don't mess with my Amy.
Do
Like,
not mess with my girl.
she's still a baby to us. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I got invited to see the John Galliano, and I took a friend. You know, we both know John Galliano's back catalogue. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
important to say. It's like he's the designer Maison Margiela, and he had
Mm-hmm.
that stunning show that went viral. Much of that was because of Pat McGrath. We have to
Mm-hmm.
put that out there as well, creating that
Yes.
skin that sent the internet into a frenzy.
Yes.
But when I saw it, I was like, you guys don't even know. This is Galliano. This is the man. He's been doing this
Mm-hmm.
for years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I love that this new audience was like, oh my God, this is fashion. This is fashion.
Yeah, he woke it
Wow.
up for sure.
So seeing that, it really got me thinking again about his huge cultural mistakes that he's made.
Yes, yes.
The documentary is kind of based around, but the filmmaker Kevin MacDonald said he's not there to place judgment for or against John. He's just there to tell a story.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to see it in New York. It's only playing in one theater in New York called Quad City. So if you're in New York, go to Quad City. It's Lower East Side, Lower West Side, Lower something. It's on 13th West 13th Street. So I went to see it there. And John Galliano is such an iconic and talented designer who will go down in history as one of the best to ever do it. But he will also go down as one of the most controversial designers to ever step foot on the runway. Because my God, like I just cannot. Like he had a rapid rise as a designer, and he also had a rapid fall from grace because it was just a lot going on. But I agree about the Margiela show. If I'm being completely honest, I'm a huge fan of Margiela, but I forgot that John was even the creative director until this
Same,
recent show. I was
same.
like, oh, John Galliano is the creative director of Margiela. Like, this is what he does. Like,
I felt
wow.
that's what the show was. He was like, hang on, you guys, this is my name. I'm working
Yeah,
for Marcella, but this is John Galliano.
exactly.
I'm seeing that and then seeing the film. I can't help but think, I feel like I got my Carrie from Sex and the City voice on. I couldn't help but wonder, this was all a grand plan. Because if you don't know what he did in 2011,
Well, hold on. So if you haven't seen the Galliano documentary yet, we're getting into it. So from this point on, it's going to be spoilers. If you don't want any spoilers, come back to the episode, but we're getting into it. So sorry, go ahead.
so if you don't like, if you didn't know what he did in 2011, which was throw racist, disgusting slurs about Jewish people to
Mm-hmm.
people who were not Jewish as well,
Mm-hmm.
Asian men,
And it
very
was bad, y'all. I mean, Hitler slurs and everything.
disgusting. And
Yeah.
let's not forget the film reminds us, even though John can't remember, he did it 3 times. There's 3 occasions, not even just 2. In the
Mm-hmm.
film, they tell him there was a 3rd time.
Yeah.
And John's like, oh, oh, was there? But if
And
you
that's, yeah.
didn't know that, you're
Mm-hmm.
just thinking, wow, Galliano, amazing, stunning, wow, careers 30 odd years long. I want to be like this guy. But when you do know of it, it puts you in that category of we're just going to have to deal with feeling conflicted.
Yeah.
We can admire the stunning beauty and we can think, what the fuck? were you
Yeah,
playing?
I agree. Like, because the documentary does start out examining what kind of creator Galliano was. One thing that stood out to me was that Galliano was a designer of clothes, but he didn't care about the money, but he just wanted to create and design. And I related to that so much because that's kind of what, of course, I want to survive and make money off of the things that I create, but that's not why I do it. And to be able to have that freedom to just create, like it just, I don't know, it wakes something up in creators that makes it creates magic. And so that's how they started out the film, just kind of like, buttering you up, like he's talented, he's great, which
Oh,
he is. He is a very detailed designer. And he pays attention to every aspect of his shows. Like it was really gag worthy to me that he needs to know how long the model's eyelashes are going to be. Like he measures their eyelash length. And it's just like that type of detail. People don't do that anymore.
they leave it to somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of what sets him apart. Even going back to the recent Margella show, like him and Pat have had a long-standing creative relationship. So, and you can tell because look at what they just produced. So yeah, it was just awesome to see that. And it was also awesome to see that I did not know that Andre Leon Talley saved John Galliano's career. Andre Leon Talley is the epitome of taste, and knew Galliano was one of those designers who would go down in history. Like I was very shocked to, well, not shocked, but it was just like, wow, like Andre Leon Talley doesn't get the credit in the fashion space that he deserves because if you ask anybody in the fashion industry, like who saved Galliano's career, who put Galliano back on the map, they would tell you it was Anna Wintour, but it was not. Like, yes, she got him appointed at Margiela with her influence, but it was Angelina Talley who years before all of this controversy was like, this is a designer who we need to invest in.
And Andre, bless his soul, he would always be so passionate when he really believed in someone. It's like you mentioned Anna just there, and I've actually got my copy of American Vogue here.
Uh-huh.
Very dry cover, even though it's,
Oh my
not
goodness.
only your Prada. There's an article in here about the film.
Oh,
And I was like, let me
really?
read it to see how they interpret it.
And what came about? I have not read it.
Well, what I realized early on is this, that the film was supported by Condé Nast, produced in association with Condé Nast Entertainment. So I was like, oh well, they're not gonna slate it then, are they? They're not
Yeah.
gonna say anything negative. Obviously Anna is in the film.
Yes.
Mm,
A lot of Condé Nast is in the film.
yes, yes. Cy Newhouse is in it, the founder of Condé Nast, or the family that owns Condé Nast. So I was like, okay. So I was like, just watch the film. And like you said, they take you on this journey. If you don't know his work, absolutely watch this documentary because
Yeah.
your brain will explode. Stunning. John
Hmm.
Galliano, talk about cultural appropriation.
You
But I'm not even
Perfect
coming from that.
segue.
Yeah, it's like he
Yeah.
takes everything beautiful. It doesn't matter where it's from. He
Hmm.
takes it and he runs with it and he takes it to
Yeah.
the masses. That's what Galliano did and does.
Yeah. And
But
they were like in the film they highlighted that it was like he went around the world, he would travel around the world and he would take things from different cultures, but it would be very surface level, but he wouldn't pay proper homage to what he was taken from. So would you say that Galliano was a culture vulture?
yeah, but I think I am too because I love beauty. I've said it to you at the beginning. What I love is it's like I listened to a Marc Jacobs interview recently, and he was talking about rightly or wrongly, when you're a designer, or let's say when you're a creator or you're a painter, you're creating this world and you want to create this beautiful world. And there's really awful stuff going on outside.
Yeah.
There is like outside your window, across the city, across the world, there's awful things going on, but you
Hmm.
want to be surrounded by beauty. And I've always called myself a magpie. Like I love vintage jewelry and I love
Hmm.
art. So I don't see that as being very different to a culture vulture. But for me, it's more like I don't create things that make lots of money from the things
Hmm.
I've taken. Maybe I share the stuff instead. I share
Yeah. I
information.
think you have an appreciation, which is
Yeah.
different from, I consider like a culture vulture, like when you take something and you don't, Galliano was saying great things down the runway, but he wasn't intentional enough to be like, this is the tribe where this particular design came from. Like he would just send it down the runway and people would be gagged by it, but it's just kind of like, where did this come from, Galliano? Like, let people know so they can go and, reach back and do their research as well. So it's just kind of like appreciation and culture vulturing are like two different things. And I just feel like he was just like a full-on culture vulture. It did work for him though, because he was bringing things into the fashion space that we had never seen before.
Oh, no, I mean, there's stuff like I can remember. I'm not that good that I remember the years, but some of those collections just, and again, teamed with the hair and makeup, often with Pat McGrath,
Hmm.
like works of art.
Yeah.
It's like the film raised a couple of things that basically the minute I got out, I said to my friend, who just for context is a English white woman. Because I was like, let's see if she sees it differently. Because me being mixed race living in the UK, black family, I'm gonna take things this way and she might take things that way. So I was like,
Hmm.
let me see what she thinks. And she said, well, he's not being honest. And I was like,
Hmm.
right. Because that's exactly what I felt. And that's, I would almost say it hurt because I am someone that thinks you should not judge. Like, I'm not religious or anything, but people that judge, you should be ready to be judged because
Hmm.
nobody's perfect, right?
Right.
But so I was like, let's see in this film, is John going to look us in the eye, in the camera's lens, and be like, I feel rubbish about what I did. I feel disgusted. I'm embarrassed. Now, he said these words, but I didn't believe them.
Yeah.
And there was one scene in that film, Mars, where the camera goes to John and it's talking about John has been reading extensively about the Jewish experience. And it shows John reading a book, right? And
Hmm.
I know he smirks. That man smirked. Before the camera, there was a smirk. And we both talked about it when we got out. I was like, and this is going to go into another territory here, talking
Yeah,
about
let's
addiction.
go. Let's go.
So I only know one person in my entire life that's affected by addiction, and that's their mother who is addicted to crack. And it is a serious thing. So even when people talk about crackheads, I don't like that because it's a
Yeah.
person. So that's the only framework I have, right? But what I
Hmm.
have heard, and when you read things and watch things, when you're an addict, there's a part of you that will say anything to get the thing that you need.
Hmm.
And while I think it's amazing that John is sober now, I don't know if I believed it 100% because he was slurring. It felt like he was slurring at certain points in this film. Just because you've turned off your addiction for one thing, it doesn't mean your addiction for fame has gone. And I think, look at all those turns down the runway he would take after the show.
Yeah.
Always dressed. He's always got to do a look. He's got to have a prop. He does love it. And
Hmm.
there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe he should have been an actor. I think there's still an addiction to attention and fame. And for that reason, I I don't fully believe that he is sorry and that he realizes how bad it is. I think, like many white men, he's like, oh shit, just say the words and let's move on. Let's make money.
I would agree because what stuck out to me when I left the film, I was like, wow, there was so much white privilege at bay. The fact that he did do this three times. And if we even look at what's happening in the world now, like there's a lot of Zionism going on, but when you talk about Jewish people, it's like a level above everything else. Like if you say the N word, oh, it's nothing. But anti-Semitism, it seems to be like above everything else as far as, harm and rhetoric that you can do to people. And the fact that he did it three times and was able still to get support from Anna Wintour, was still able to be creative director at another fashion house. Like he went from Dior and got another job. What really
Would it be
gagged
the
me,
same for Olivier?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And what gagged me the most was that when he came to New York and he dressed up as a Jewish person. After doing all that you did,
Guys, you've got to watch this documentary for that bit
yeah, it was. And he got
because
on camera and said, well, it was just an outfit. What?
I'm just appropriating. I'm just appreciating. Like, no,
I thought
that
you
was
just sat with
fake.
rabbis and learned the culture and you still doing this. And that was the point of the film. I was like, okay, the white privilege is just a bit uncomfortable for me
Yeah.
because what's going on?
Also, did you catch the vibe when he goes to see the pieces? He goes to Dior. So he sees like some of the pieces he created years ago. He's
Mm-hmm.
got an issue. And there's a lady there. The lady, and we're going proper into the weeds now, but John had his long-term collaborator, Stephen, the lovely Stephen. I forget his surname, but he was John's right-hand man. And even in the film, it alludes to the fact that Stephen may well have had his own dreams of having his own brand, but he literally lived for John. He was
Mm-hmm.
more than a right-hand man. And unfortunately, Stephen passed. And so there's this lady that found him the morning that he died, right?
Mm-hmm.
She finds him. So I'm like, oh my God, she's going to see John. Like, what an emotional moment. And John kind of was like, oh, hey, he didn't like freaking crowd her with hugs. There's no
Mm-hmm.
tears. There was no like, we went through this together. It was
Yeah.
very, it felt like she was the help to me. I
Yeah.
didn't want that. So
I got
it's,
that same feeling too. Yeah.
so do you think then that the filmmaker knows? Although he can say, I'm not here to say whether John's forgiven or cancelled, I believe everything is intentional, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you think the filmmaker leaves those bits in there for us to be like, okay, we're not sure?
Yeah, I think they wanted to like leave it out to the jury to be like, well, is this a person that you want to still support, or does the art outshine kind of everything that has happened? And I think about it on a more grander level, like that's just something that we're dealing with in general in pop culture. Like we have people who do awful things, we have people in office who do awful things, but it's just kind of like a lot of people, the first one that comes to mind is Kanye. A lot of people will look at what they've done in music or in art and fashion and just kind of like shoot everything else away. Me personally, for me, I'm so into fashion, I'm into beauty, I'm into these things, but I'm very intentional about it. Like, I'm not going to support a brand who does not align with my morals. And I don't care how beautiful or how stunning your work is. Like, if you don't align with my morals, then I'm not going to support you. Because I feel like in doing that, that's kind of supporting the awful shit that you do, especially when there's like no accountability and you're not sorry for it. Like, I kind of got that from John in the film, like, especially when he wore that in New York, like, you sat with rabbis and did all of this stuff, but you're not sorry because you're still making a mockery out of
I
these
didn't even have the
people.
fake ringlets, like
Yes.
Orthodox Jew, when you see the tall hats, the hair where it's the
Hmm.
ringlets. He put fake ringlets on his head.
Yeah.
Come on.
So it's as if he went to talk to the rabbis, like he's creating a collection. Like he took from them what he wanted and then made a look out of it. So it's just like,
It's a look.
wow.
It's a look,
Oh,
regardless. Like,
okay. Like
mm.
speaking of, so let's take a little segue. So speaking of John Galliano, how he had to go talk to the rabbis to kind of redeem himself in the industry. Can we talk about Phoebe Philo?
Go ahead.
Do you think that she should have to meet with black models to understand what her rhetoric and impact did to them when she didn't want black models on her runway?
No, I just think you should ignore her. I
Hmm.
just think she should be ignored. And if you want to educate your white friends who love, love, love her off for selling things that are like stupid prices, by the way,
Hmm.
leave them to it. She's
Yeah.
not, she doesn't deserve, she doesn't deserve to have ever have a black model on her catwalk. And that's that.
I agree. I agree. And it's like when she releases collections, a lot of people put in my comments, talk about Phoebe's collection. I'm like, I'm not talking about
She
it.
doesn't see us.
Yeah,
So
I'm
we
not
see
talking about
her.
it. And it's like they will also, which kind of like makes me feel icky, they'll also tag black creators who do like Phoebe Philo still. And in like, because I have one particular video where I talked about her racism. They were tagging like Amanda London Girl NYC. They
Oh,
were
don't bring
tagging
it
the
back
girl,
into it.
and I was like, if they want to support them, that's fine. Like, and I'm not judging them for doing it. This is my moral
Yes.
complex, and this is something that I'm not going to support because if you don't want me in your shits, I'm not paying them prices anyway. Because who can afford that? But even if I could, like, it's a chop for me. I'm not doing that.
It's funny because that brings me on to it's like Amanda is iconic in our circles of style, end of.
Very much.
So I would not I would not come for her because I feel at least she knows what she's talking about. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people speak on things, especially on TikTok, and they don't know hardly anything.
Yeah,
Let me make
true.
a video, you know. So, but it's that point that you just made. You were like, if they're not seeing me, I'm not buying it. And I think that's randomly, right? I've been watching Summer House, that Martha's Vineyard, right?
Uh-huh. Okay.
And it's quite different for me to see as a UK person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's these all black cast in Martha's Vineyard. Lovely, lovely. It's got a lot of history attached to it, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
beautiful place. And a few of them will say Black excellence. And there's one guy I love, Preston. He's like,
Preston Mitchum. Uh-huh.
yeah, he's like, for me, Black excellence, it just sounds like you guys just want the best that the best at the level of being white, buying this, accumulating that, having that. It's on a very
Mm-hmm.
white level. And so that's why I'm probably going off on a weird tangent here, but it's like I think some people they just want to achieve and they're really not looking at the stories behind things. They just want to be seen as being on this level
Mm-hmm.
that they might not educate themselves so much. So I feel I can be quite like blunt. I don't think I'm mean, but I think I can be blunt. But at the same time, I have to be like, well, look, not everyone's gonna try and find out.
Yeah.
Some people just want the coat,
Yeah.
just want the shoes. Some people just want the bag, and then 6 months later, they want the other bag.
Yeah.
You know, it's just I think there's fashion and there's style that comes into
Mm-hmm.
it, you know.
Mm-hmm. And that's
Um,
totally fine. It's just I'm when I make content, it's from my personal perspective. It's not to like shit on anybody else for the shit that they buy and the shit that they do because do you? I'm not funding your wardrobe. So how dare I say you can't wear something? I'm just making my audience aware of why I don't support certain things. Like even in the same breath, like Dolce & Gabbana, like every time somebody wears it, it's a chop because I'm not supporting somebody who makes slave sandals, who threw a African party and everybody came in blackface as Africans. I'm just not going to support that, no matter how good the garment looks, no matter anything. And it's like it is disappointing to see it on especially black people, especially people like Beyonce. Like it's disappointing to see them wear it over and over again, because it doesn't align with the art that you put out. But I'm not supporting Beyonce's wardrobe. I'm gonna call it out because I feel you should do and know better, especially you and your stylist. Y'all should know better. Again, do you? I'm not gonna stop listening to your music because of it either. So
no,
yeah,
but
it is
it
what it
happens
is.
in beauty as well. There's a
Yeah.
brand called Revolution who I have their things, I don't use them, and if I did, I wouldn't
Makeup
tell you.
Revolution?
Yes.
Oh, what's
So
he?
their CEO, and it was years ago, okay, but he's never apologized, so it's still in my head. They brought out of all things, I think it was a black musician. It was either Jimi Hendrix or Prince. I can't remember right now. Either way, you should
Okay.
be doing it. But because they're both dead people, you know,
Mm-hmm.
use that image on a makeup collection. And there were some ignorant people in the comments that were like, why are you doing this? Who's this for? And then it was somebody must have said they should just go back to Africa if they want that stuff. It's very ignorant, right?
Oh no.
The CEO was going around liking these comments, right? Instead of sticking up for people and saying, guys, we don't allow for that. So, like I said, this was years ago. And so I was like, that's cool. I got loads of other makeup I can use.
Mm-hmm.
But since then, I've seen people that I know well getting deals with them, black people, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
so happy for them that they're getting money. But part of me is always like, but don't you know? But don't you know?
Yeah.
But I would never, I'm not that kind of person that's going to come for that person and be like, you're an idiot. You're taking
Yeah.
money. It's bloody hard out here when you're a
Yeah.
person of color
Mm-hmm.
doing top notch. I don't even like the word content. I really don't. But your quality is there, but you're not, you know, the algorithm doesn't see you. People don't see you.
Mm-hmm.
The people that follow you don't see you. But
Mm-hmm.
so I would never criticize them. I just think these brands are cheeky. And I mean, again, you know, that CEO, he's a white male. he just doesn't care. It doesn't, it's
Hmm.
like it just doesn't touch them.
Yeah.
So even with that said, why couldn't you just do a little apology and be like, by the way, guys, we know that many of our customers are Black and people of color, but he's
Hmm.
never had to think about it because his is a cheap product, so it's very accessible and people keep buying it. He doesn't care.
Yeah. That's crazy. I had no idea about that. Like, wow. And also it's just like you're the CEO, so you're not the person who created this collection. So stand by your creative team. Like,
Get a burner account, but
yeah.
it's literally in his name. I think it was Adam Minto, CEO. Like people can see you, you know. It's
That
like,
is insane. I cannot.
but it's funny because that's cheap stuff, and then you're talking about Phoebe. It's not
Yeah.
cheap, but people are
Yeah.
still gagging.
People are still gagged by it. And it's just like, I'm not gagged by Phoebe Follow. But yeah, especially in knowing what I know about her, I'm just like, girl, please. And then like even when she did the interview recently where she was like, Phoebe Follow tells all. I was
Oh,
gonna read it, and then I saw some of my fashion friends on Twitter. They were like, well, she didn't say nothing about the racism allegations. So she's not telling all. So I'm like, well, child, I'm not gonna waste my time reading it because I was gonna read it and report on it on, TikTok. But if she not addressing that, I don't need to read it.
it's funny. I think there's it's like some people are like, I'll just ignore till it goes away. And
Hmm.
I do think, again, I feel that's a luxury that's only afforded to white people. I
Yeah.
really think, you know, um, to bring it back to Kanye, I do not agree with any stupidness that Kanye has said. I do not. But I have listened to his music from day one. Um,
Same.
I have loved his music. I have cried to his music. His music got me through me doing my first exhibition. I was like, I got to be more Kanye. So I listened to Kanye every single day while I worked on this exhibition. So I have an emotional connection to him. I think he is a genius. John Galliano is a genius. I think Kanye is a genius. Unfortunately, there's some other stuff going on there that
Yeah.
I don't even think we all know. So people want to mock his mental state. I don't agree with that. People want to talk about his relationship. I don't know what's going on there, but I do feel he is not given the same grace as people love to say. You know, I don't
Yeah.
think he's given the same, and that's because he's a Black man. Let's be
Yeah.
real.
I would agree. I would agree. He's not given the same grace. Like even looking at somebody like Azalea Banks, very much talented, and this is like taking it a level lower because she's very much talented, but she doesn't even get the same grace as Kanye because she's a Black woman.
The Black woman don't even like the disrespect and the ugliness that comes out when people of and also people of her own race, by the way, when
Hmm.
people come for her, it's I just feel everybody's got a problem, okay? Everybody's got a problem, and
Yes.
everybody needs therapy, and everybody needs to
Yes.
shut up, okay?
Yeah. And
Me
that's
included.
yeah. And that's yeah. And that's why that's why I was like people can do what they want to do because I'm never gonna stop listening to Azalea Banks. I don't care what she say. Like I'm never gonna stop listening to her. And but some other people on the other thing, like, well, she said some horrible thing. Yeah, she has. But that's my problematic phase. And I'm just not gonna stop listening to her. And also she has admitted to having like mental illnesses, like dealing with
And so is
schizophrenia and
Kanye.
and dealing with other things. So it's just kind of like I give these people grace and I also hold them accountable. When she says some stupid shit, I'm like Azalea, like, girl, shut up.
Yeah.
Like I hold her accountable. Like I'm just not following her blindly.
No, but this is the thing. I will have deep discussions about Kanye, like with my husband or my friends, because, like I said, when you come up with someone's music, you are attached to them. You wait for the new music and you're with them for that and this marriage and what you're doing there and da 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 da. You feel like almost you've got a little piece of them. You don't because you will
Hmm.
never ever know that real person.
Right.
But I just feel there's a real this whole cancellation and being forgiven. And I do feel, and I hope no one twists my words, when it's words that someone has said, it's stupid, right? So
Hmm.
Kanye will say something stupid to the whole world, right? The internet.
Hmm.
John Galliano was sat next to somebody who was just minding their own business, enjoying a night in Paris at a cafe, and he poured scorn and hatred on them in their face to the
Yeah.
point where the man appears in the film and he's like, I got ill after that happened.
Yeah.
He's basically saying it ruined his life because
Hmm.
of the press coverage, right?
Yeah.
But everybody out here on the internet feels personally attacked by Kanye that typed some words. Do you know what I mean? I'm very
Yeah.
like, there's levels. And unfortunately, it's not about saying, well, my pain is more painful than yours. It's not about that. But there are levels to what
Yeah.
you
And white privilege is right at the top of that. Right at the top. And it's just kind of like, and I know me and Charisse keep talking about his anti-Semitism, but y'all, he said to people that their family should have burned in the like Holocaust chambers. Like, so for him to like repeatedly say that in drunk binges and like act like he doesn't know where that those feelings arise from, it's just very weird. And he's talented. Dior will never have another journey like they did with John Galliano. And I would also say that John Galliano is responsible. Like the spectacles that we see on the runway, John Galliano is responsible for that. Like I
John
feel
and
like
Alexander.
you feel like Alexander followed after him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Not because of him. Alexander is, for me, the most beautiful designer ever.
yeah,
It broke my heart. If you ever watch that documentary, have some tissues.
yeah.
Alexander is the true creative. He couldn't live any longer. He's like, I've given everything, and fashion
Hmm.
wants me to be, there are no's or whatever. They want me to churn out. What was John doing? 32 collections a year?
Hmm.
Why do you think the Margiela artisanal collection is so amazing? Because he got to spend a whole year on it.
Yeah,
So John, just like Alexander, just like Tom, these big conglomerates, they're like, we need more, we need more, we need more. So yes, to back up John, why wouldn't you be taking uppers to wake yourself up? Why wouldn't you be taking sleeping pills to sleep? Why wouldn't you be
yeah,
taking alcohol to numb yourself? Alexander, he didn't want to go that way. And I honestly think that he just thought, I've given you everything.
yeah.
And
It
in
drove
the
him
film, they say,
insane.
yeah, John says, I should have gone the same way of Alexander, the way I was living.
Hmm.
But he
Hmm.
didn't. And he gets to live. And the
Yeah,
director at McDonald's says, yeah, you get a third act.
yeah,
So it's all down to what John does for the rest of his life. I'm not saying, and it's not my business to, I'm not saying John doesn't deserve forgiveness. I'm just saying, based on this film, I think John has got a lot more work to do.
yeah. And I really don't think that he wants forgiveness because he's been redeemed. So it really doesn't matter. Like, another thing that stuck out to me is that they asked Anna face on, they was like, did you feel that sticking by him would mess with your reputation? And she was like, no. Like she was very quickly like, no. Like, but Anna is also the same person who stood by Kanye and his bullshit. Like she, girl, I don't know. I don't know what her rhetoric is.
Don't be coming for Anna and you ain't gonna mention Naomi.
Oh, yes, yes. Naomi, the same thing. And she actually had like a little snarky attitude about it. Like, no, John is
I
my
will.
friend.
What did she say? I won't even look at that video because I know John. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. That's a little bit ignorant.
It is very ignorant. But the more and more I learn about Naomi, she seems to be not the person that we all think that she is.
Same.
So,
And again, that's why you shouldn't put people on pedestals.
yeah,
We
that's
do it to
exactly
ourselves.
why. Exactly why. And it's also like I had to have a reckoning with myself about Naomi because in the 90s, like when she had the reputation of being a mean girl, like she was praised for it. But now when I look back, I'm like, that was some fucking awful shit that she did.
Throwing phones at people.
And she's still doing shit like that. Her in the
It's
film,
like,
it did turn me off. I was like, girl, not you saying you're not gonna even watch the video. Cause just like, even if you love a person, like I love my friends. Like, I love my relationships. I love the people who love me. But if they do something, I want a full scope of who they are. And same with me. Like, if I do something that it's kind of like, I don't know, wrong, hold me accountable. If you're really my friend, you know what I mean? Like, don't just
even if
let
it's
me go
gonna
by the
hurt me,
wayside.
because let's be
Yeah.
real, we have to say that, like, tell me if I'm doing something wrong. But at the same time, it might bloody hurt. But
Yeah.
I think celebrities just forget that. Like, we don't need to be so dedicated. I think, we've gone from people having posters of somebody on a wall as a
Yeah.
child and then seeing them in concert to now having access to them all day on a phone.
Hmm.
And you're thinking you're closer to them. You're not.
Right.
Everything's there for you. Do you think Beyonce posts her Instagram? No, she doesn't. Do
She
you think
sure
she
does not.
retouches her pictures? No, she
No.
doesn't, but she wants them retouching. Like,
Yeah.
we need to stop acting we need to
Yeah.
stop acting like they're our friends. And,
Yeah.
if we have that separation, then maybe it won't be so much like they did this because they are humans just like you and me. But at the same time, they've been groomed to be a certain way, look a certain way. They've got a
Mm-hmm.
whole team of people around them saying, yes, 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 all the
Yeah.
time. That's going to mess with you.
Yeah, it is. And it's
And if
also
you've already
like,
got a mental instability,
yeah.
add that into the mix,
Yeah.
you know?
And I think that because a lot of celebrities will say, like, sometimes I just want to be normal and all of this, but you feed into these parasocial relationships too. Like Nicki Minaj, for example, like you rally up your fans. You're like the Donald Trump of rap. You rally up your fans, you feed into their rhetoric, and you put it into your career to make you more successful. Like, and they all do it. Like, you all fit into this rhetoric, like, yeah, we are friends. But when that friend becomes stalkerish and comes to your house and wants to break into your house, now it's the issue, which that is wrong. But y'all have to create boundaries. And I feel like they don't
Yeah.
create boundaries because they feel like there'll be less money for them in a
Like, what
sense.
about the celebrities that we don't know all their business? Like, you know who I do like? I feel like Megan, we know the crap that's happened to her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Megan Thee Stallion. But I also love that she'll be in Tokyo just like hanging out. Definitely she seems happier. Don't get me
Mm-hmm.
wrong. That might be because she's like, I cannot deal with this Nicki bullshit.
Yeah.
Let me not even address that because Nikki came across like some bitter old woman with that whole. I
Yeah.
was really not impressed. You got your Vogue cover, and then you start acting like this.
Yeah, Nikki is her legacy is just
I mean, come on,
not.
it's messy anyway. If
Yeah,
I just make music and shut up because
yeah,
it's come for your entire family. I mean, some unpleasant stuff there.
yeah. Very,
You know, gosh,
very.
Mars, we need a part two, I think.
We do because we have to get out of here. Charisse has a long schedule today. But I'll definitely have you back anytime. Please. Well, thank you for coming on the show, first of all. When I come to the UK, I will let you know because we have to meet up. I just feel this sense of like
We will.
connection and solidarity when we talk. Like,
And I need
um,
to smell you. I need to smell what you're wearing. It's very important.
yeah, same. I need to come raise your beauty closet. I know there's some shit in there you're not using that I need to come and steal.
Well, it should be all, I'm getting all my storage soon. So we could even do a little podcast episode in the studio. So
Yes, I love that. Okay, please let the audience know where they can find you, social medias, all of that.
you can find my podcast and follow it, please. Anywhere you listen to podcasts, it's called Beauty Me with CHARISSE KENION. That's it. You can find me on TikTok at CHARISSE KENION. Instagram is CHARISSE_KENION and Threads. Threads is kind of cool.
Y'all
Um,
don't really fuck with threads like y'all say y'all do, though.
yes, you need to do. Oh my, you've been sharing a lot more fashion actually the past few days. I've
Yeah,
been.
I'm trying to get into it, but every time I like refresh my page, I'm like, is anybody here? Knock,
I
knock.
know it's the same people or the
Yeah.
same people. They always show me content creators complaining about being seen. I'm over it. I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
know, but and you can also find my podcast on Instagram, Beauty Me Podcast. So
Yes. And I'll
I'm all
tag all of
over
these in the caption as well, where you can find them down there too.
it. You do, but thank you so much, Mars. I love what
Of
you're doing.
course.
I'm
Thank
proud of you.
you.
I hope people are watching your podcast on YouTube as well because
Thank
sure
you.
it's fun. And I can't wait to meet you because we will.
Same. Likewise. Also love all the things that you're doing, the beauty breakdowns I live for. Oh, I didn't even say this in the show, but before we go, what's her name? Oh, Anoki, the Met Gala.
Yes.
Thank you so much for breaking that look down because I was so
Oh,
obsessed with how her skin was looking like that. And you was kind of like, actually, it's not this fucking cream. Like, it's much more than
sometimes
that.
I have to throw a little actually in there.
Yeah.
I-
Because
I've got a
I
new
went and bought
entry.
that cream and I was like, this is not giving what it gave on her.
No. I know. I was like, he went and bought the Lancome.
Yeah.
I was like, Mars is getting all creamed up.
It
But
is
that's the thing.
not.
It's never just that one thing. It's like my video about Jodie Turner-Smith at the Oscars went crazy. I had to turn the comments off. It went that crazy. It's still going crazy today. And people are like, there's no way she just used that. And I'm like, no, if you listen to my podcast, I'll give you the whole list of stuff. But people are like, I'm going to go and buy it. And it doesn't look the same. And you never know the whole truth, I think, when it comes to celebrities.
Yeah.
Because it often comes down to a makeup artist that's got this thing, oh, I forgot I've got this. And they'll throw a bit of that on, and all of a sudden it's a viral moment. So
Right. Right. So that's just a sneak peek of what you can find on B2B Podcast and just Charisse's content in general. So if you want to stay moisturized and order like the celebrities, follow Charisse. You
okay.
can find the Creative Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever else you get your podcasts. We're gonna be dropping every Wednesday. It used to be Tuesday, but now it's every Wednesday. And on Thursdays, we'll drop on YouTube. And like we say at the end of every show, remember to leave here empty. Have a good week. Bye.